New Falls Count Anywhere Partnership Podcast. I'm your host, Ernest. EJ Christian. It is now Go Home Week as we're about to approach Survivor Series here. And of course, joined here by, of course, 1/3 of the Mindless Wrestling Podcast. And of course, the host of the Rob the Genius Podcast, which airs once every, I don't know, maybe once every month or whatever. Rob the Genius with us, of course. Rob, what's going on, brother?
And not much, man. Look, I'm in the process of recording.
Are
Okay.
you?
Yeah, because I'm trying to get one finished before Shadura's second start. Because if it all goes bad, then everything I would have said.
You got to rewrite it again.
Yeah. And no, man. Look, this first start was absolutely perfect for like content engagement because it didn't end the argument. Like he wasn't so good that his naysayers have to shut up, and he wasn't
That's
so
right.
bad, and he wasn't so bad that his supporters had to be quiet. He was literally like right smack dab in the middle.
Yep. Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely a good story to watch. At least the Browns have something to watch in the rest of the year. You know what I mean? As his development. But anyway, we're gonna talk about a lot about on the show today. Obviously, the Survivor Series around a couple of days from now. Also, we're going to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the debut of the Undertaker, the Dead Man, of course. And then I have a question for you about Survivor Series as a whole, because one of the things with Survivor Series, I think through the years that always been something that I have never understood is like how they can never nail this thing to what it should be. We'll talk about that in a second, of course.
Okay.
Now, I already told you, fall time for me for wrestling is hit or miss, because fall time for me is content overload, and that's not even including the election years. You know what I'm saying? So if there's an election this year, I mean, it'd be even worse. But you got football, you got basketball, college football, the whole nine. I still gotta be a dad. I still gotta be a husband. So wrestling does suffer a little bit. Also, add to the fact that I am kind of sort of boycotting the WWE because of my the ESPN thing. I have not bought an ESPN thing yet. I don't know how I'm gonna watch the Survivor Series this weekend. We'll find out. Maybe watch the recap again. We'll see what happens there. But a lot's happened in the last couple weeks since we last met, Rob. John Cena last week had his last ever appearance on Monday Night Raw at the Garden. And look, it's been a little while since we've talked about this. And it's been about 10 days since that event happened. So not so much the Raw finale for him, but we're closing on the end. We're weeks away from the end. And I gotta be honest, man, it hasn't for me after he turned back to babyface before SummerSlam. I've checked out, bro. I haven't. Now, to be fair, I checked out everything in wrestling for the time being because, again, like I told you, things are happening, things are busy. But the Cena thing to me has not really been interesting since turning back, honestly. And I think also what I'm struggling with too is the fact that if this was Hulk Hogan, for example, retiring like this, having the same like pomp circumstance, retiring, I'd be more invested because I lived through the Hogan thing. Because John Cena is not my guy. I love John Cena, and he's a Mount Rushmore guy, and I agree with that 100%. Because he's not my guy, because I didn't experience the John Cena peak in real time, I don't have the same investment than others have. So I think that's why I'm not as like attached to the story. Yeah, I was attached initially with the heel turn, the first couple months we were talking about it on the podcast, and then after that it went to shit. But other than that, I haven't really been invested. Again, I'm happy for the guy. I love the guy. He's doing the right thing. I'm enjoying his new show on HBO. Peacemaker. But the actual send off, I'm not invested. Now, look, I think I will watch the last main event on the 13th of December because I have to. But like I said, I'm just not invested, bro. I mean, how do you feel? I know you were checked off a little bit too, also, but you came back to WWE before I did. So where are you in the whole Cena thing now?
Okay, currently? Well, so I came back in 2012.
Right, he was still in his peak, relatively,
and that was also the height of people predict. Let's go Cena. Cena sucks, and
yeah.
And so for me, I never understood that and I had people explaining to me why, they were dissatisfied or why people were chanting Cena sucks and to me, every explanation I got from people, I was just like, man, this is bullshit. Okay. Because I grew up with Hulk Hogan, you know, um, I knew about Bruno Sammartino, and I just understood that, you know, when they have a baby face that is suitable, that guy has a long run and he stays a baby face. And he, and that's just what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, Bruno, Bob Backlund, Hogan, and Austin and Rock didn't have the traditional babyface personalities, but that's the role they were playing. Because especially Austin was pitted against the evil Mr. McMahon, right?
Yeah.
Despite his personality being different, he was still playing the babyface role.
Hmm.
And had he been 25 when he started and not 35, and his knees and his back and all that were in better shape, he would have had a longer run. He would have gone 10 years
Yeah.
doing that. So for me, that's just what it was. And I did not get why these people were upset about that,
Yeah.
with John Cena. To me, I just felt like these people were just being stupid. So,
To be honest, that whole thing ended though probably about 5 years ago. Like during COVID when he came back, I think in 2021. And that feud, and I think it's really credit Roman too, also because by then Roman's already a heel. He's ready to middle his GOAT run. When Cena came back for the Money in the Bank, remember he came to a surprise Money in the Bank and then hyped him match at SummerSlam against Roman. You
yeah,
haven't heard the Cena sucks thing since then.
true. And I
Other than
think,
other than the heel turn, of course, this year. Other than that,
but yeah, I mean, and I think him not being around as much kind of quieted some of the
absent heart grow fonder kind of thing.
or I guess, yeah, or I guess, I don't know. To me, it was all very stupid to me. I
Yeah.
mean, and to me, and when they started to push Roman and some people rebelled, I thought that was stupid also.
Yeah.
Because again, to me, that again, that's just what it is, right? They're going to look for the guy they can plug in as the baby face at the top of the company. If they find that guy and it works, they're going to stick with him for a decade,
Mhm.
and that's just what it is. That particularly WWE, right? I mean, other companies, other places will might do something different, but that has been their bread and butter.
Yeah.
And when they don't have one, they're going to look for one.
Or
And
mhm.
and so and I guess for me, and also the fact that a lot of the people doing the complaining were like 30 years old, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, y'all should know better. Y'all should know how this is. Y'all should know how this works.
That's a good point.
Okay. We're not talking about these weren't like rebellious teenagers who were mad about it. These people were 30, 35 years old. Like, y'all should know how this works. I mean, y'all don't go to the movies and boo Captain America, do you? Or they don't boo Superman, right?
Well,
I
I
mean,
I would Superman because I'm not a Superman fan, but this is me.
well, I mean, but no, but okay, but these are the same. These are the same people
A
that got.
Batman guy.
These are the same people that got really upset when they made Superman just a tiny bit not as bright and smiley. Okay,
Yeah.
these same people got really upset about that. Okay, so again, to me, you know what, if you're 35 years old and you've been watching pro wrestling for a while, you know what it is.
You know the deal. Yeah.
And so for you to be upset about this, I thought those people were just being really stupid. And so I've always enjoyed seeing his work. And, again, I mean, I grew up, again, we grew up Hulkamaniacs. So
Yeah. Hmm.
he's not the guy we grew up with. No. but I've really come to appreciate his work. And I guess for me, I mean, the fact that he was so embattled by so many people, you know, for what I thought was really stupid reasons, did kind of endear him to me. And because well, look, my two favorite wrestlers are people who are embattled for really stupid reasons, also. You know,
True.
so I just for me,
So let
and
me ask you.
I was
No, go ahead.
I
Go ahead.
was
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was intrigued by the heel turn, and look, I thought for the longest time they should never do it. I did think I did think that doing it now or doing it this year, I did think it was a good idea because you could do it, and because I always knew that they were going to turn him back in time for him to finish as a babyface. So I thought doing the heel thing now later on, late in his career, just to see how it would be. I did think that
Yeah.
was a good idea. Just like
Right.
when Hogan did Hollywood Hogan, right? He did it at the right time, right? I mean, Hogan went heel at exactly the right time in his
Right.
career to do
He did.
it. So I was intrigued by it, and the execution, of course, was very up and down, and the down parts were, in my opinion, really bad. Um, and then when they flipped him back, yeah, no, I was happy to see him flip back, and then because to me, when you go out, like, yeah, I mean, the last few months should be a big victory lap, and so of course when they did the thing with Brock, that pissed me off because
Yeah.
so
That made no sense because there was no there was the build, there was the match, and well, first there was the build, and then there was nothing for a couple weeks. There was the match, and then that was it, and then we go our separate ways.
yeah, and
This is the
so
problem you
like,
have when you have like this is the problem when you know when the end's coming.
and
You're
also,
booking
I mean, like,
backwards.
yeah, and then that was one of those things. Nobody wanted to see that. Nobody.
Right.
Like, I mean, there were other things like, did we want to see him versus Randy with the dynamic flipped? Yes. We want to see him versus Punk with the heel babyface dynamic flip.
But
Yeah,
the Red thing was cool though. The Red thing was really really good.
and
That's
so
why
was the
the
Punk
end
thing,
of the good thing. That's why
and
the end
so
of
was
it
the
though.
Punk thing because,
Yeah, Punk
but
also. Yeah.
we were we were actually interested in seeing those two matches with the heel face
Right.
dynamic
Right.
flipped, and I think that's why it worked.
Right.
Nobody wanted to see him get beat up by Brock Lesnar again. Nobody wanted that.
Well,
No.
I didn't mind it. But
Yeah,
again,
okay.
but Rob, here's my caveat though. Number one, I'm a Brock guy. Number two, I thought we were getting a story.
Well, yes, that's the thing. Well, okay, I'll say
Got
that.
nothing out of it. Right.
Nobody was asking for him to go out there and do a one-off with Brock and get, you know,
And then that's it.
right. Because what purpose does that serve?
Yeah, that serves no purpose whatsoever.
And Brock Brock didn't need to do that to reestablish himself. We all know who Brock is, right? I mean, he didn't. The idea is that, well, I don't know what the logic was there.
No,
I guess
neither do I.
the only thing I've heard was that oh, they're just going through all the kind of beats that he went through in his career, and I just I don't think that didn't serve any purpose for anybody,
Right. I agree. 100%.
and and look, the crowd shit on it, and that's why that whole event got poo-pooed by
Russellpalooza?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
and
forgotten.
well, it just it put yeah, it just put a dark cloud over the whole show because nobody wanted that.
So let me ask you this question then, because this is the main thing I want to ask you about this topic. Are you invested in this Cena thing at the end of it? Because because unlike me, you've actually had some years where you were able to experience Cena's peak ish, for a couple of years before you became a part timer. So, are you invested in the way that I'm not? Because I was not able to really experience it the same way.
Um, yes. Now I'll admit that I have no interest in seeing him lose his last match, and that's what it looks like it's going to be. Um,
Hmm.
so I'm start. I've been in. I've been very interested up to this point, but now I'm kind of starting to lose some interest because it looks like they're going to send him out with a loss, and I'm not, I'm not of that. I mean, I know there's people in the IWC who are have this idea that you should go out with a loss and put somebody over on your way out the door,
It's gotta make sense. Sorry, I'm with you. It's gotta make sense.
and and you know what, like, look, Taker went out with a win, Sting went out with a win,
Hmm.
you know, particularly if you're a babyface hero in particular, then nobody wants to see you lose your last match. They want to see you ride off into the sunset one more time.
Right. Agreed.
I mean, nobody want, it's just, I mean, it's one of those, to me, that's one of those stupid, IWC things where there's some internet fans who have this obsession with like, well, if you should put people over. If you're a big name person, if you get to a certain point in your career, that you should just focus on putting people over after that. And
Right.
to me, I want good television. I want good stories. You know what? And the people who made me feel good as a fan, I want them to make me feel good one more time when they're leaving.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
And and so personally, I mean, because the way this tournament is shaking out, it looks like Gunther's going to win, and and then to me, I have no interest in seeing Gunther beat John Cena and that be Cena's last match. I just don't.
Does that make sense? Like when Hogan lost to Yokozuna, it made sense because Yokozuna was the dominant force there, and he took that and ran with that for a whole year until he lost the title to Brett in '94.
Yeah, and then also,
You know what
I
I mean?
mean, and there was some real life backstage heat between Hogan
Him and
and Brett,
Brett.
where they just wanted him to get the hell out of there at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
True. True.
And
So,
but this is not that. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean,
like I said, I will be watching the last couple weeks because it is the last couple weeks, and I'm sure there's some things that maybe some surprises there. But like I said, because I was not part of the Cena build in real time, I don't have the same investment like I did with Taker, like I have with Hogan, and all the guys we lost. Even I even have more investment in Goldberg because I watched Goldberg's rise in the '90s. You know what I'm saying? I
yeah,
don't have the attachment to Cena in the same way. Now, having said that, watching Cena in hindsight, I'm a huge fan of Cena's, obviously, but it's different when you're watching it in real time. When you actually are experiencing the titles, experiencing the storylines in real time. It's a lot different. Like people don't understand how good Hogan was because these kids don't get it because they weren't really there to understand it in real time how big this guy was. We live Hulk Hogan, Hulkamania. We can tell
like
you how big Hulkamania was.
yeah, and like I guess for me another example would be like with rap music. I just can't get with the current stuff.
No, I'm
Um,
with you.
like okay, I can listen to Kendrick Lamar, and I can acknowledge that he's really great at what he does,
Mm-hmm.
but I'd rather go listen. I'd rather go put Wu Tang on again.
Me too. And
Because
I'm a big Kendrick Lamar fan. But you ask me
uh,
between him and Wu Tang, I'm going Wu Tang, of course.
yeah, and because like if you go through my whole like music, my music playlist that I've curated, it's Wu Tang, um, Public Enemy,
Yeah,
all stuff from when I was in college, basically, in high school and college, basically.
right.
Because that's what I grew up with.
Big Daddy Kane.
Yeah, Big Daddy, yes, Big Daddy Kane, yes.
Yes,
You know, and so Tribe, and and for me,
yes,
like that, and just like with like Mike and LeBron, right? Look, for me, Mike was the enemy. 'Cause I'm a Knicks fan.
Yeah.
But you ask me who's better, Michael or LeBron, I'm Mike all day.
Mike all day. Yeah.
And I don't care. I don't care what numbers you pull out of your ass. That I don't care, right? But so for me, no, Cena is not the same as when I grew up watching Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes. But I did over time develop some attachment to him.
Yeah.
It is gonna be kind of sad to see him go. Um, and then no, I don't like that they're more than likely sending him out with a loss. I
Right.
don't like that.
Right. Another person who we had attachment to growing up, and we're going to talk about it now. This year, this week, whatever last week was the 35th anniversary of the debut of the Undertaker, Mr. Mark Calloway himself, of course. He debuted, of course, in 1990 at the Survivor Series in 1990. Did you watch that in real time?
Um, no, I watched I did not. For whatever reason, I missed that one. Now, what's
Mm-hmm.
funny is I saw him a few months prior to that.
In
Yeah, I went
WCW?
to Great American Bash in Baltimore
Right.
when he was meeting Mark Callis and he wrestled Lex Luger, and
Ah.
I saw that. So
Did we cover that show one time? We covered that show one time on Retropod, right?
we watched a couple of the matches, yeah.
Right, but not that one, obviously. But
We didn't watch that one, but we watched a couple of the other
right,
matches from the
yeah,
show.
that's what I thought.
Um, so when I saw him, when I was watching the WWE television, the week after Survivor Series, yeah, and I saw the Undertaker, I was like, "Oh, that's me, and Mark Callis." You know, yeah, but it's, 35 years, and we've said that is arguably, the we're talking about characters that Vince created. Um, it's arguably the best one,
I don't know. It's arguable
arguably.
anymore. I don't think it's arguable. I think it's probably is the greatest character created. Like we
Well,
talk
yeah, I
about
mean,
character.
when you consider that they got 30 years out of that,
Yeah,
and because which is more than it's more mileage than they got on any other character that Vince ever created.
yeah.
And yeah, so it's and his debut, like his first 2 years, 1990 he debuted, and then 91 he won the world championship on that same show.
Yep. I always wondered why they took the belt off him so quick after 91.
um,
I never heard any answers in the backstage about that because
I
he was over. Like he was a heel, but
oh yeah,
he was one of those guys that he was a heel. He had his fans though. He had his fans even back then, and I remember I didn't watch it in real time, but I remember seeing the character the first couple of weeks after that Survivor Series debut. I remember saying, "Dude, this is different. Like we've seen big characters before. This is different. Like he nailed that character down to a science. Like he had me having nightmares. I remember I was 10 years old when he debuted. So and I was watching in real time, and he had me frightened. You know what I'm saying? I remember that match against Hogan in '91. I was scared for Hogan's life. Because I was still a kid. Like, oh man, Hogan's gonna get destroyed. He played Undertaker. You know, did you think in real time though when you saw that? Obviously, who he was, but did you think in real time seeing Undertaker that, dude, this guy could be a legend 10, 15, 20, 30 years down the road? Could you have seen that even back then?
in 19 when he debuted in 1990, no, because again, I had seen Mean Mark Callis. Mean Mark Callis was very talented,
Mm-hmm.
but he was also kind of bland. And I was 16 at this point,
Right,
and so my first thinking was this was some yeah, this was just some wacky character, WWF character. Here we go again, right?
right.
But for me, it was a few months later at WrestleMania 7. He wrestled Jimmy Snuka.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember listening to the crowd reaction for him. And then that's where I thought they might really have something. because it was very similar to the Road Warriors, where because early on in their career, like they were the heels, but they were so dominant and they were so cool with with the face paint and the black vests and the coming out to Iron Man and just beating the shit out of people. That even though they were the heels, it got over, right? Because it was too cool to keep booing.
Yeah.
And so you know, the reaction he got at WrestleMania 7 when he wrestled Jimmy Snuka was a legend, you know, but he was getting cheered like he was a baby face, and
Yeah.
it's because again the gimmick was the whole aura and the whole presence, and that he's damn near 7 feet tall and he's dressed in all black, and he was just again he was beating the shit out of people, and and he was doing and he could really move for like a dude who was almost 7 feet tall,
Yep.
and so it got over. And so when I saw him at WrestleMania 7, that's when I thought, okay, like this might, okay, like these people are digging this, and you know they might really have something here. And when he fought Hogan at Survivor Series '91, he was getting cheered during that match.
He was. I remember that. I remember that too. I remember saying to myself, "Whoa, it's my first time seeing Hogan get not booed, but people 50-50, almost 50-50 crowd in a sense, watching that match." Um, the big move they made though in between the debut and of course WrestleMania 7 you mentioned there, the big move really that really made the character work was changing managers. So people forget Brother Love was a manager first,
Yeah,
and then they went to Paul Bearer about 2 months, couple months later after that. Paul Bearer was the absolute final piece of that package that made it work.
yeah, because he completely invested.
Yeah,
He completely bought in
yeah,
to it because look, and that's always the key with just with those way wacky, over the top kind of gimmicks, or if it's like a comedy gimmick or something,
yeah,
you have to, but like you have to buy in, and you got to jump in both feet and just go all the way with it for it to work, because the audience knows if they've stuck you with some gimmick and you don't really like that doing that shit,
yeah.
the audience can tell.
The original name was also Kane the Undertaker, which of course is very
Yes.
fitting because 7 years later, Kane, his brother, ends up becoming a thing, of course. Um, but yeah, I could not. I knew he would be I knew he'd be a big deal. I didn't think he'd be what he was, though. What he became. I never would have saw that coming. But, a potential Mount Rushmore guy, the greatest character in history of the company, but probably pro wrestling in general. That I did not see coming. So to me, the success of that character is just. I think what made that work also too was the reinvention of that character. So you had like even that the first 10 years, you had the dead man, the Undertaker, ice pale face taker. Then it evolves a little bit every couple of years into like the purple and then it goes into the post Paul Bear part when Paul Bear is gone for a couple of years, and he becomes more and more gothic, and then he goes to the whole like almost satanic taker in the late '90s, and then that gets a little old, so he goes into like the biker. I wasn't a fan of the biker personally, taker, my opinion, but I appreciate the nuance of trying new things and whatnot. I never would have thought in 1990, watching the Survivor Series 1990, you know, that this dude would be, we look back 30 years later, 35 years later, one of the all time greats. He's a snug top 10 guy all time,
Oh, yeah,
and
yes.
snug, like he's probably top five, top six, no lower than six, in my opinion. So, um, I never saw that coming. Never saw that coming, honestly. But
Yeah, at the very beginning, I did not see it, but again, at a few months later, at that WrestleMania 7 is when, yeah, that's when I saw, okay, they got something here.
yeah, um, I don't know. Like to me, like I still I would like to know why they took the belt off of him 3 days later.
Um,
Was that planned for
well,
3 days?
I guess because they were doing that event. It was a pay-per-view, and I think it was just kind of an experiment they were doing. I don't know if the price was cheaper than you know than their normal slate of pay-per-views, but it was on a Tuesday night, and
Tuesday in Texas, right?
yes, so it was. I think they because they had done a couple of like experimental things, like because a couple years prior they did like that no holds barred cage match or something,
Yeah.
and that was just like on just like a random day in December or something. So they were trying little experiments with pay-per-views outside of the regular schedule. So my guess, I mean, unless there's some backstage issue, my
Yeah.
guess is that they wanted to do something, to make you wanna, you know, buy it, I guess, or buy the next one, right?
Cause that was some because not only that, for Vince to do that to also put on Taker back to Hogan 3 days later, that's some absolute era booking though they were doing back in 1991 that he did not do at that time
Yeah, and then they ended up just vacating the title, and then
altogether. Yeah, which
so
kind of
I,
makes no sense also too, but
well,
whatever.
no, and also look, this was at a time where they were going through a down cycle, so
Yeah,
they were throwing stuff at the wall to see what stuck at that
right,
point. You know,
right.
uh, like I don't think they would have done that. Well, I mean, if it had been like 1987, they wouldn't have had him lose the belt to Taker in the first place. That's
True.
Survivor. But it was a different time.
Yeah,
Um, Again, they were going,
part of that shift we saw in the early '90s.
yeah, because
Yeah.
the business was going through a down cycle,
Mm-hmm.
and they had to just they were everybody was just trying stuff to see you know what could what they could get to stick, and so Hogan lost the title sooner than he would have previously because he had just won it at WrestleMania 7.
Yeah.
So in previous years he would not have lost it at Survivor Series. Um, Well, they might not have even had a title. They might not even have defended it Survivor Series in previous years.
And that was the first ever title match on Survivor Series ever.
Yeah. So it was a time of just a lot of turmoil, and
Try new things. Just try new
yeah,
things. See what sticks. Let's see what sticks on the wall. I get it.
yep.
I get it. But Taker 3 5 years, man, unbelievable. Still looking back, Before we get to the preview for this year's War Games, Survivor Series War Games, I want to ask you a question. This is something I always want to figure out. For some reason, of all the big four events, and you want to include Money in the Bank, we can do that too as well. SummerSlam has its place. Royal Rumble has its place. WrestleMania definitely has its place, and we know what it is. These three events know who they are. They know where they stand in the pecking order. They know who they are and what they represent for the time period that they're used. For some reason, through the years, Survivor Series has been the one event that WWE can't seem to fucking figure out what it really means and what it is. And I know that there was a time period where I don't know what years it was. I forgot. It definitely was out when I was out, stopped watching wrestling. But it was quite a few years where they stopped doing it for for a little while. I can't remember what years it was exactly. So you remember Survivor Series back in the day. So obviously, the strongest survive. Obviously, elimination match, tag teams, all that. First couple of years, and then you saw tweaks through the years. Then by the '90s, it became pretty much a regular pay per view. One of the big pay per views, the Fall Classic, we'll call it. And to me, I was okay with that because there were a lot of big moments. In fact, the biggest moments in that event's history were actually in the '90s. Honestly, if you really think about it, the biggest events. Think about it. The screw job in '97. You
Yeah.
had let's just right now. Survivor Series like
Yeah.
Survivor
Taker
Series
debut.
yeah, the Survivor Series in the '90s, honestly, late '90s, especially too, were way more consequential than any of the Survivor Series we've seen in the history of the event.
Oh yeah.
'96, Shawn loses the title to Sid. '96,
Yeah.
'97. Didn't Brett beat Diesel in '95?
Oh, so all
I
right.
thought
So Taker debuted in '90. He won the title in '91.
right.
Brett beat Diesel in '95.
5.
Sid
Shawn
beat
lost to Sid.
Shawn. and then that match, and that was the match where Sid got cheered like a babyface and Shawn
Yeah.
won.
Yeah.
97, you had the screw job,
Yep.
and
98, you had to
98 was
swerve.
when 98 was when
The Rock
that
swerve,
was,
corporate.
yeah, and that's honestly that was the real launching pad for like from when Mick Foley became a top guy out of that event.
Yeah. So to me, like the 90s were, I thought, gave you the placement where what it should have been the rest of its time. But for some reason, the WWE has a hard time figuring out what the hell Survivor Series is. Now we're doing war games. The war games been kind of the thing for the last quite a while now. At least last like 8 years, right? Or close to
Well,
that. Maybe 5 years. But
okay, well, on the main roster, it's been since 22.
2017. Oh, okay.
They did it in NXT starting in like 2017. So they've been doing war games matches since 2017. It's just they were in NXT for like the first 4 or 5 years.
I guess my question, Rob, is why is it hard to just nail what Survivor Series is?
Well, okay, so the first few years, the entire card was elimination matches,
Right.
but then but then when you got to like 91, 92, well, for one, the roster was a lot smaller because they let a lot of people go.
Yeah, because of financial.
So they didn't have the roster to do 4 elimination matches anymore or 5 elimination matches. They didn't have the roster to do it. So they had to cut back on the elimination matches. And then I think honestly from there, I just think they kind of got into a pattern of only doing one or two elimination matches, and they started, the year long booking changed so that November just wasn't a focal point anymore.
Mm-hmm.
When you got to the 2000s, and then the other big four pay per views just became more important because remember, like the Royal Rumble wasn't that important for the first couple of years.
292.
Yeah. So, and then SummerSlam, like when was the first really pivotal thing to happen at SummerSlam? Um,
Well, Warrior Honky.
but even that, I mean, that wasn't a company changing thing.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just like like
I think
okay.
like when Brock won the title in 2002.
That's one. I would
That's
say what about
and
92? What about the 92 SummerSlam? 92
I mean, I'm talking about something that was like really changed the fabric of the entire,
mm,
like the screw job in '97 changed the entire fabric of everything.
there were definitely big payoffs in the 90s. I would say SummerSlam, but nothing
So
like that changed the dynamic of the entire company really.
so I think what happened is in the 2000s, SummerSlam kind of started doing that because again you had Brock. I mean, because in particular that just shifted everything. Even though Brock didn't stick around much longer, but
Right.
that became SummerSlam became more of an important event in the 2000s, and I think, and so did the Royal Rumble, and I think that just so I think in turn those just kind of took some of the shine away from Survivor Series, and now it's just I think it's they've been trying different things, and I think it's just it, it's I think it's hard to maintain any of these formats for more than a few years.
But why? But Rob, is my thing too. Why does it have to be something special? Why can't this be a regular fall classic pay per view? The name itself is big enough. The name Survivor Series is synonymous with Royal Rumble. It's synonymous with WrestleMania. It's synonymous with SummerSlam. Why does it have to be X, Y, and Z? Why can't this be a big event in the fall? Okay, a big four. Okay, for the fall. Okay, you put a big payoff match in there and call the day. Why does it have to be an elimination match? It could be if you want to have a match or two there, but it doesn't have to be that. It could be a regular
Well,
card.
because honestly, 'cause I think well, I think it's just lazy booking.
But do you agree with me though on that though? What I'm
I mean,
saying?
okay, if I think they just the fall, they
The
kind of
name,
have to
the
check
name
out.
should sell itself. That's my point there. The name itself should sell the show.
Yeah, and I think if, but they they kind of they a lot of times in the fall they take their foot off the gas as far as the booking and the creative. And if they were, and so you need it, so they decided just to make it a gimmick show, so
Right.
rely on the gimmicks. Um, so we had once they did the brand split in 2016, they started, that eventually turned into the brand versus brand. And quote, but the problem with that is though, is that when you start doing these champion versus champion matches,
Right.
well, it's just, well, one, somebody's got to lose, and then the other thing is that it limits it. I mean, it limits the matchups you can do because if you're going to do world champion versus world champion, and women's world champion versus women's world champion, if you're going to do those matches on the pay per view, then it limits who you can put in those matches
Yeah.
because if because if you try to experiment with somebody new, the crowd may not care. Um, so you're limited on who you can put in those matches because if you look at like when they did the brand versus brand, particularly on the women's side, like I mean, it was they had like the same two or three women in most of those matches.
Yeah. Mhm.
But you kind of have to because it's because I mean like but it ran its course. And now the problem with the war games though is that you have to magically fit storylines together, you know, to warrant putting the teams together, to justify putting the teams together. And we see this particularly on the women's side is that they literally like slap the storylines together in the last month.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, yeah. I mean, what you say makes sense. But to me, if they go on cruise control during the fall, again, the name itself should sell the show. You shouldn't need to do much because the name sells itself. It's a big enough name. I mean, this thing's lasted. This thing's almost as old as WrestleMania. It's only 2 years younger than WrestleMania. Like, it shouldn't be that hard. It's older than Royal Rumble. It's older than SummerSlam. Not by much, but still, it's been. We know every fall. Even my 12-year-old son knew this way back when. Hey, what's coming up? Yeah, Survivor Series. Hello. We know November's the Survivor Series. It's always the Thanksgiving event. It should not be that hard. It should not be that complicated to figure out what Survivor Series is. If you want to be elimination match, so be it. It don't have to be. It can be a regular event. Book your biggest matches of that fall and blowouts at that time.
well, and then see the other thing is like you have to like the first few years that like you have to if you're gonna do all elimination matches, then that means you can't take your foot off the gas creatively because you
And
have to
and I
because
hate that. I hate that too because you know why? Because now you put yourself in a corner booking wise now doing elimination matches. Good guys against bad guys. That's stupid. It's we're not in the 80s anymore, bro.
well, because I mean, well, the thing is like the captains of the team were people who were feuding with each other, and so if you're gonna do 5 elimination matches, then that means you got to book. If you do 4 men's matches and 1 women's match, or now you can do 3 men's matches and 2 women's matches, but
Yeah.
that means creatively they have to book that many feuds, at a high level. And I mean, basically, I mean, you got to book 5 different feuds at a level in which any of them could be the main event on a pay per
Yeah.
view,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't do that.
No.
They don't. I mean,
Right.
because like
And nor should they.
Yeah, I mean,
To me, it's silly. Like you don't need that anymore. You can just do what they did it again. The way they did it in the '90s was perfect. Just a regular card, regular matches. They put your biggest match of the fall there. That's
well, yeah,
all you
but
need.
that was the thing they made um during the '90s. There were big things that happened on that show.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm trying to think of a big thing that's happened since then.
On Survivor
Like,
Series?
well, I think like the look. I mean, the biggest thing I can think of, as far as like a ground changing thing that happened on the show, um, probably 2012 when the Shield debuted.
Yeah. But the reason why nothing big's happened since because they haven't treated it like a big show anymore. That's the thing. That's my point.
Oh well, okay, I see what you're saying. Because
Right.
I mean,
It doesn't feel important anymore.
and because yeah, so like the last earth shattering thing that really happened was when the Shield came out in 2012.
Yeah. It's a
Because
long time.
yeah, and because those three guys literally took over the company, right?
Yeah.
And because I'm trying to think since then, like what happened. They've had some great matches on the show,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, oh well, okay, a couple of years ago when Punk came back at the end,
Yes. That was like
but
2 years
even
ago.
but
Right.
that was 2 years. So within just so since in the last what 13 years, there've been basically two kind of big earth shattering kind of things that have happened on that show.
Mm-hmm.
The Shield debuting and then Punk coming back. Um, so there's a lot of years in between where they've had some great matches, but nothing really, nothing that really shifted the ground in the company
Right.
into that show.
I will say this much though. It was a great transition. This year's does feel very important though, because the fact they're doing it in a stadium at Petco Park is kind of sick. So this will now get us to our preview now of Survivor Series War Games, the 2025 edition. We have, for what I see, 4 matches. Of course, take place on Saturday, November 29th in San Diego, California at Petco Park, as I mentioned, home of the San Diego Padres. We have right now 4 matches scheduled, and I think you think this 4th match will stick. Or you going to add one more?
Well, they only got one more night of TV, and that's pre-tape. So
Yeah, so that's pretty much. I think we're set then, probably pretty much.
yeah,
So 4 matches. Here we go. First match: Stephanie Valkyr and Nikki Bella for the Women's World Championship. Who you got?
I think Stephanie is going to win.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I don't know why they booked this match for the show. Because I'm saying that because
Because Nikki, that's why.
well, boy, okay, but okay, she's been doing nothing but losing for the past few months,
Yeah,
and then
which I'm surprised, but they allowed her to do that.
and that's what I don't get. She's been doing nothing but losing for the past few months. They booked this match. She's more than likely going to lose again. And what's the point?
Getting
Yeah,
girls over, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, I mean, yeah, I don't see I don't see the logic here doesn't make sense to me as far as
What I can see here is her winning the match and then holding the belt for at least a Royal Rumble and then losing again.
I think that would be look personally. Um, that's exactly what I think you should. Again, during the fall, that's exactly when you should do stuff like that.
Yeah.
And because like, look, I've said before, I think I thought that they should have had Drew McIntyre win the belt from Cody during this
Mm-hmm.
time.
Yep.
This is when you should do stuff like that. And so for me, I think Nikki Bella should win, just given the circumstances, given that she hasn't won anything of note since she's come back, and I just don't see the point in having her lose again. But I think they just booked this match to, I don't think that they're thinking that way. I think they're just going to have Stephanie win and and keep going.
You might be right, but I'm gonna pick Nikki Bella to win the match. I don't think that's great here. I'm gonna think they're gonna give Nikki a little bit of a run with the title for 2 months and then lose it back at Rumble and then call it a day. So I'm gonna pick Nikki in this one. All right, Next match, we have the singles match for the WWE Intercontinental Championship between John Cena, the champion, and Dominic Mysterio. So Dominic did lose the title um, to Cena. I thought Dominic would hold at least the Rumble or even beyond. But the Cena, look again, Cena's leaving in a couple weeks. So what are we doing? This is just Cena get his Grand Slam, just to get his Grand Slam. That's it. Okay, cool. I don't think he'll keep the title. At least he
Yeah.
has what 2 more matches left to
Well,
go after this one.
he's got this and then the last one.
Yeah, he can't hold a title that long. So the answer is easy. Dominic Mysterio here.
Yeah. I think this is the most obvious one. I think.
Yeah, this is to be honest, I'm surprised Cena's even wrestling in the Survivor Series. Honestly, but this is my opinion. So all right. You have the women's War Games match between you got Rhea Ripley on one side, you got Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair, and AJ Lee. The other side, you have Nia Jax, Lash Legend, the Kabuki Warriors of Asuka and Kairi Sane, and Becky Lynch. It's be fun.
Yeah. And this one, the women's War Games always opens the show.
Yeah.
And the baby faces always win. I don't think that changes here.
Yeah, I don't see anything happening on the heel side that's gonna make me think that they're gonna win. I mean maybe Becky. I don't know. But no, I think Rhea's team Rhea, we're gonna call that. We'll take this down. I'm with you as well. All right, and then the men's War Games match. You got one side, you got CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, the Usos of Jay and Jimmy, and Roman Reigns versus the Vision of Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre, and Brock Lesnar. Who gets this one?
I think the heels win this one.
I do too. I think so too.
Because I think look, the two guys with belts are on the babyface side. You got Brock over there with the heels. And I think because this kind of reconstituted version of the Vision that they had to throw together because Seth got injured, like they had to win something.
What do you think, so far? You like it?
I mean, so far, I mean, look, they were they were forced into doing it, so because Seth got injured.
Yeah.
So I think, given that, I think what they're doing has been fine. I think they have the right people involved. Logan Paul thing was a little awkward at first, but I think he's fit in with him just fine.
Yeah.
Of course, Brock fits because of Heyman, and Drew just fits because he hates people on the other team. So I
Yeah.
mean,
Hates
so
Punk, hates Cody. Yep.
yeah. I mean, so the logic, like he hates Punk, he hates Cody, he doesn't like Roman much either. So I mean, it's a very perfect logical fit to put him on the team.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think the heels win this one too. Like I said, I think the heels is the better team, in my opinion. Actually, one of the better Survivor Series teams I think I've ever seen on paper.
Oh yeah, I mean, because Brock, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Logan Paul, yeah.
I guess my question for you is beyond Survivor Series on the men's side, where do we go from here between now and Rumble? Like, what stories are going to be percolated after we leave this San Diego? That's what I want to see. What exactly are we going to like? Where's Brock going to fit in all this now beyond Survivor Series? Where is the Usos going to fit? What's Roman's next opponent? That's I want to know going forward.
Well, I think Roman is definitely winning the Rumble this year.
Okay.
I think that's happening. Cool, because it's time. It's time. It's time. And look, that would be also kind of one more point of redemption for him, because when he wanted he got booted out of the building in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's time. I mean, I think, and honestly, because I think he was going to win even before Seth got injured. I was thinking previously that he was going to win and then go challenge Seth and beat Seth at WrestleMania. I can't do that now.
Yeah.
But I think, because who else is going to win? I mean, they don't do a lot of they don't do experimenting with Rumble victory. Because I mean, every year there are people saying, "Oh, they should take a chance on this person," or blah blah blah. They don't experiment with Rumble wins.
No,
Um,
no, they. For example, Jey Uso won the Rumble was because they thought Jay was ready.
yeah, and he'd already been established. He'd been in main event. His nickname
Right.
was Jey Uso.
Just an
So
example. Right.
yeah, so it's like, that was not some grand that they weren't taking a chance. They weren't gambling with Jay. They thought, again, they were pretty set, uh, with him
Rocket ship
as
type.
somebody.
Yep.
Yeah, so they don't experiment. So they don't experiment very often.
I'm more curious how Brock will be used between now and Rumble and beyond. That's what I want to. That's I want to know.
Well, because I mean, the rumor is that it's going to be him and Gunther at WrestleMania.
Oh my
That's the
god,
rumor.
that's be great.
That's that's the rumor, and the rumor was that was going to be before the whole lawsuit thing happened. Right now,
Right.
um,
But Gunther would
so
be a babyface right now, or no?
oh no, I think they're just two dudes are going to fight each other. I mean, um,
Two ass kickers.
yeah, so I think, so just I think Brock's probably going to go back to the farm after Survivor Series, and then he could be in the Rumble. Yeah, I mean, probably look, him and Gunther will probably in the Rumble, and they might have a thing, where they
Yeah.
go at each other, and then that'll kind of plant the seeds, and then they'll end up having the match at WrestleMania, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very curious how things percolate beyond Survivor Series, but we'll see. It'll be on ESPN as always. We'll figure out how I'll watch it. I'm still in my boycott, so we'll set up plays out,
Man,
man.
it's funny because like they're not the only sports league that's doing this thing where they're like spreading stuff out in too many places. You know,
It's killing my wallet though, bro. I can't afford $30. Well, I can afford it. I don't want to pay $30. I just don't want to.
well, I mean, I think because like I've heard people complaining about like baseball doing something similar. Um, now like I think if you're like a Yankee fan or something, you got to go in a bunch of different places
It'd
if
be
you want to see all the
Rob.
games.
It'd be one thing if I'm getting all my wrestling content in one spot. If I'm getting Raw, SmackDown, PLEs, blah 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 blah, and the archival stuff in one spot. Hell, I'll even pay $40 a month for it. But I'm paying $30 essentially for just one event a month.
Yeah.
No, not doing it. Everything else ESPN I already have. I don't need to pay $30 for the rest of the stuff there.
Yeah,
Makes no
no,
sense.
I mean, and I, I'm not paying any more for it because I got, still a caveman. I still cable.
You got
But
cable.
um,
You and your Law and Order.
exactly. Yes, sir. Me and my Law and Order reruns, and every weekend they either play Star Wars movies or they play MCU movies
Quite
on.
frankly, I have not watched other than sports. I don't watch any TV that way, and all the shows I watch on demand. So I watch mostly, dude. Most of my content I watch is on YouTube, podcasts. If I watch ESPN material normally, like First Take, whatever, I watch it in hindsight, in clips. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have any reason to, like I said, the only way I do pony up $30 a month is if ESPN does get the rights to the archives, the library. Then I will likely pay the 30 a month.
And then for me also, I get another reason I have cable is because, you know, I live close to Baltimore, but I'm a Commanders fan, so to get to just see all the Commanders games.
Yeah, but they
You know,
stink now. You can cancel that now.
well,
Jay
they stink
Daniels out
now.
for yeah, they stink now. So you can wait till next year.
They didn't stink last year.
Jay Daniels out for probably the year. I mean, he's not going to play this weekend, and yeah, whatever. But
Yeah,
what'll that down?
okay, but they didn't stink last year. And
I know that. Last year we went to the Super Bowl.
like,
Allowed.
I wasn't paying for Red Zone or paying for Sunday ticket.
Well, I have I do pay for Red Zone still, but I use it. I use it. You know what I mean? I'm paying for 4 events a month. You know what I'm saying? I'm paying for 4, Red Zones once a week. So I'm just paying for. I'm getting my money's worth of red zone. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm not getting my money's worth with just paying for one PLE a month. That's why. So
Um, it's yeah. I mean, it's okay now. If I did not have cable, well, if I didn't have cable, then I wouldn't be paying cable bill. So I probably would be okay with getting the ESPN thing for that.
right.
But at some point, yeah. I mean, well, right now they're trying to squeeze every dollar they can out of every corner. Um,
And I'm
I,
telling them fuck you. I'm sorry. I'm telling them fuck you. I'm done with that. I can afford it, Rob. You're wrong. I can afford it.
don't know.
I
I
just
hear
don't want
you,
to.
but look, I think at some point, look, as these current deals expire in 4 or 5 years, I think they will eventually end up all back in one
Consult
place again.
consolidating.
Yeah, because I think the money's not going to be there to,
Yeah.
like you're not going to have all these different people, willing to pay them all this money. And I mean, it's the whole the streaming thing. It's a streaming services are it's a Ponzi scheme. Um, and there will come a
Yeah, but we
point.
all knew this years ago. That we knew when we were paying $6 a month for Netflix that was not going to be stay $6 a month. We knew this though.
Well, no, well, but we stuck our heads in the sand, and I mean, we chose to go along with the.
But what have I said for years though? The value in streaming services is not about the money anymore. It's about having a choice. Choices. Like if you don't want Netflix anymore for 2 months, I'm out for 2 months. I don't have to have it. I can get rid of it. With cable, you pay for channels that you may not want because of the bundles. That's all.
Well, yeah, but at the same, but look at okay, so Netflix has a million movies. How many of them do you actually watch?
Me personally, not a lot because I don't have time to watch it.
Okay, so it's not much different. I mean,
It isn't that much, but I will say that there's to my opinion, better quality. I still will say, and don't. I hope these companies don't take me to my word. I pay $16 a month for HBO Max. That's actually still a value. That's actually still low when you consider the amount of stuff on there. That's still pretty cheap.
yes, because if you were buying a movie ticket every time to watch one of those
Yes.
movies,
Yeah. Hello.
because look, I mean, basically, look, if you watch 2 movies a month on HBO Max, then you got your value because
Yeah.
2 movies a month at the movie theater would be $30. Whereas if you
Minimum actually. That's minimum.
and that's if you don't buy any food or anything.
Right.
And so yeah, if you watch 2 movies a month on HBO Max, then you got the value for it. And that also goes for any other, Paramount or Prime or whatever, right? And so I mean, but the price is going to keep going up because it's not profitable. I think Netflix has become profitable in the last couple of years, I
Yeah.
think. But these other services are not. And again, like I said, people only have people. You can't. Everybody just like you don't have $100 to pay in all these directions in perpetuity. Nobody does.
Yeah.
In time, over time, like people are going to start dropping these other services, and they're going to keep one maybe, and that one will probably be Netflix the way things are going. Um, and I think that's what's going to happen because people just, I mean, people are not going to spend. They're not going to go another 30 years paying $10 over here, $10 over here, 15 over here, 15 over here. I mean, it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
Um, ultimately, the other ones are just they're going to fall by the wayside, and you're going to, and basically you're just going to end up with cable. It's going to be like cable again.
Yep.
That's what people like me have been saying all along. That eventually, it's just you're going to end up with something that is just like cable. You know, I guess the difference is there's no there's no calendar or whatever. Like, you can that's the only difference. It's just you can pull up any movie or any show whenever you want.
Right.
That's the only different. Um, but ultimately, it's going to end up being the same product.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. No doubt. So anyway, Rob, happy Thanksgiving to you. Anything you want to
Yes.
plug?
All right, so we are recording the Mindless Wrestling podcast this week. We're doing it Friday, so we will have a
Oh,
show.
I was going to ask you that too when you record that. Yeah.
Yes. And I'm going to try to have my own thing finished before Sunday. So that
Oh, he
I can
said
get
that. He said
so that I
that.
can get so I can get my Shador Sanders take finished. Because I don't know, the whole thing is funny to me, man.
Well, why don't we just put the Soto Sanders out, take by itself then? It's its own episode, and then like
I
see
might
how
just
it
yeah, I might
settles.
just do that because to me, I mean, again, the whole thing is funny to me.
Yeah.
And just all the arguments people are making, and just there's just it's just the whole thing is funny to me because like the guy's a fifth round pick, and you're fifth round pick for a reason.
I gotta hear this,
Oh,
bro. Dude, record this shit soon so I can listen to it.
all right, I'm doing. Oh, yeah, I'm okay. I'm just going. I'm going to go ahead and stick to the Shador and keep it with that, and not try to do anything else.
Yeah.
And,
Because I know, guaranteed, knowing you, you could probably you could easily get 3 minutes of content on that shit. Easily.
yeah, and look, I was thinking about, I haven't talked about politics in a long time. I've been trying to think of a way to talk about it, and not be too, not saying anything that somebody might hear and want to come after me,
Oh God.
because I mean, look, that's the climate now, man. Just
Yeah.
and
People so soft. The people who are the ones saying that not be soft are the ones who are the softest.
yeah,
It's funny how that works out.
yeah,
Just saying.
is what it is. Well, these are some very interesting political times we're living in right now, and
It really is. It really is. And of course, you can follow me, of course, on X at EJChristian7. Falls Count Anywhere, of course, part of the Earnestly podcast. Guys, enjoy Survivor Series, and we will come back to you guys hopefully soon. We'll see. Until then, happy Thanksgiving, and until next one.